Howdy, folks. How y'all doing tonight? Thanks for this is the makeup live stream. Thanks for joining me. Couldn't do it last week. I could have done it, but I chickened out. There was a nasty winter storm rolling in, as you know, I mentioned, and we didn't know how nasty it was going to be. Turned out it wasn't that bad until like the beginning of this week, and then we got like several inches of snow, and it was bad. But I wish I could pay get paid like the weatherman to be um, wrong that often. But anyway, here we are. This is the regular third Wednesday of the month live stream on the fourth Wednesday of the month this year. And yes, check out the hat. You know, Lynn, I wear a lot of hats here at Thunder Mesa Studio, and that's not a metaphor. I actually have a whole bunch of different hats. Here, I decided I'm going to do something fun for the live streams. I'm gonna wear a different hat every time, and just because they get dusty, they need to be they need love and attention. They need to be brought out every once in a while. This is a authentic African Queen skipper hat, which I got from traderbrandon.com. And don't bother go rushing over there to look because they're sold out. They're long gone. He'll probably do another run of them, I hope. Oh, go ahead and look. I mean, he's got a lot of really cool stuff at traderbrandon.com. That's Brandon Kiley. He was a guest on my podcast last year. Great guy, former Disney Imagineer, incredibly creative. If you like Trader Sam's at Disney or Disney World, thank Brandon. He was a big part of the decor there of creating the vibe for Trader Sam's. So, and he's really into tiki stuff and jungle stuff and Ghostbuster stuff too, which it all goes together. So that's where I got this hat. It is so nice to see you all joining me tonight. Look at all these friendly, familiar faces. What are you guys all doing tonight? I hope it's warm where you are. It's still a little chilly here in Arizona. Yes, it really does get cold here. Someone put it very succinctly when I mentioned that that I was canceling because of the weather last week, and that the weather and the environment in Jerome and Prescott and Flagstaff is a lot more like what you'd expect in Colorado than what you find than what people expect to see around Phoenix and Tucson, stuff like that. Sand dunes and cactuses and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little different up here. Anyway, yeah, we're getting real winter this year. Here I am. We're doing a live stream and I'm talking about the weather. That's not what I wanted to talk about tonight. Excuse me. I want to talk about micro and mini layouts. That's the subject that I wanted to talk about. Because I really like I really like micro and mini layouts. And and I get a lot of email. I mean, we all get a lot of email, but I get a lot of email from people asking how to get started in model railroading because they've seen my videos and they might be really interested in the ON30 and they're having a hard time finding stuff, which is another topic. But they want to know how to get started, and my advice is always the same: start small. Don't if you have a huge basement or attic or spare room or whatever, a bonus room or shed or warehouse, and you've never built a model railroad before, and you dream of having, the Gorian defeated, like John Allen, huge floor to ceiling scenery and massive amounts of track and dozens and dozens of trains running. My advice is don't do that. As cool and appealing as that is, Start small. If you've got that huge basement or spare room or whatever, build your model railroad in one corner. Don't plan to take up the entire space, especially if you're just starting out or just starting out in a new scale. Like a lot of people, start out in N or HO or whatever, and they end up in ON30 because it's so much cooler. Uh, but yeah, and they want to know how to get into it. It's like start small. A mini layout or micro layout, and we need definitions of those terms coming up, is a great way to get started without overwhelming yourself, without just creating a plywood Pacific, which never gets any scenery or structures or anything, and you never see that dream realized because you won't live long enough to finish it. This behind me here, this is 12 years. I've been working on this, and this was not my first layout either. This is the biggest I've ever done. It's 16 by whatever it is this way. I forget. I don't measure. It's on the track plan. Look it up. But it's been 12 years to get to this point. And I posted the other day, last week, on the socials for Throwback Thursday. I posted a picture of the original Thunder Mesa layout that was taken like 10 years ago, when it was 3 by 6 feet. So Thunder Mesa started as a mini layout. I consider anything under 18 square feet to be a mini layout. Or basically anything that's less than a 4 by 8 sheet of plywood. That's it. Something that you and a friend can pick up and move. That's a mini layout. So yeah, this right here, this original 3 by 6, this was a mini layout, and that's where I started because I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, and I haven't learned a thing. So DL Hemingway, you're building a 4 by 6. That's a good size. 4 by 6 is a good size. You get wider radius curves. Yeah, the original Thunder Mesa layout had 15-inch radius curves, which are still here. No passing siding at all. There's just a little switchback like that. That was it. 2 switches. That was the whole thing. But you can do so much in that amount of space. And don't think you have to go to the smaller scales either to get a lot into that small amount of space. Because what happens is, if you're modeling in, say, O scale or even G scale, or whatever, one of the large scales, you're going to pack a lot more into each scene, each structure, because the detail threshold is so much higher. So it's not like you're getting less railroad or less modeling. You might be getting less track, but you're not going to get less modeling, that's for sure. Let's see. And Maury 24 is building a N scale 8 by 3 in the office. Looks like it would take a while to budget. Budget constraints, daunting, getting all together. Do I have a budget? I used to never pay attention to what I spent on modeling, on all this stuff. But now I do because because of monetization. When I first started this YouTube channel, I didn't monetize videos. I didn't, and I didn't care. I do one every month or one every 4 months, and they'd come out. And you go back and look at some of those early videos, you'll see it was just like, I'm just having fun, and I wasn't doing a lot of how-tos or anything like that. I would just do, here's what's happening, here's the way things look now, just to have a little record of it. But once you start, when you have a channel like this and you're creating content and you're monetizing it, yeah, you have to kind of keep an eye on expenses and stuff, because then it's actually, I hate to say the B word, but it becomes a business. It's a really fun business. You're kind of in the you're in the video business when you're on YouTube all the time. I mean, I don't have a ton of subscribers. I've got what, 8,500, somewhere like that. But still, it becomes a business, and so you kind of have to budget based on that. But I'm not going to tell you what my budget is, because I have a new project just about every week. So I am planning ahead to the months ahead and ordering stuff in to have the materials on hand for the project that I'm working on. That almost didn't work this time. I have a video coming out this weekend on some Calico mountain ore cars that are inspired by the ones at Knott's. And I almost didn't get it finished. I finished it right before I started this live stream. I finished the video because I didn't have the couplers. I'd ordered some couplers, and the shipment was delayed, probably because of the weather. And they showed up today, finally. So I was able to finish that, and you will see it. And you'll never know unless I tell you, like I just did. So anyway, yeah, model railroading is not an inexpensive hobby. Let's be frank. It's expensive, and whoa, derailment. Hang on. How did that happen? I jump up and don't grab the walk around controller. Stand by. Realism. This is just like coming to visit me. That switch right there has never picked a wheel before, ever. But there's a switch right here, which is the switch to nowhere. That's why I jumped up so fast, because it leads to the floor. It's a switch put there for the possibility of future expansion. The train started to go that way, and that's the first. That's the first time that's ever happened. I'll have to look at that. And in the meantime, we're going to park this half of the train right here in Calico, because I don't want to be monkeying around with this while I'm talking to you guys. Interesting. Probably due to the cold. Expansion and contraction of the track would be my theory on that. These nickel silver rail definitely expands and contracts, and so does the wooden benchwork that everything's made out of. So changes in temperature can cause unexpected results just like that. So Lynn McCurdy says, yeah, there's been a bunch of quakes over here today. You know what? There was a little one in Flagstaff. Was it yesterday or the day before? And there's been some little aftershocks. They do have earthquakes in Flagstaff from time to time. Flagstaff sits on the slopes of or next to a dormant volcanic field. So earthquakes are not incredibly uncommon. And I didn't notice it until I got home and looked at the video footage that I'd shot that day. And it was like this. Like one whole clip was shaking. I'm like, why is the camera shaking? And it took me a while to figure it out. It's like, and then I went online and there was a little 4-point something earthquake that rattled us a little bit. So it does happen. Earthquakes in Jerome. Yeah, that's a scary proposition, because if you've been to Jerome, it's yeah. I'm in a 100-year-old building here, and everything is just barely hanging on to the side of the mountain. There's over 100 miles of old mining tunnels burrowing underneath the town. They pumped all the water out, so there's these big hollows down there, and every once in a while things fall down. So yeah, earthquakes are no joke. Oh, where was I? Got a little sidetracked there. No pun intended. We were costing. Yes, we were talking about the cost of model. Thank you, Chris, for bringing me back on topic. You are. I'm going to nominate you for topic moderator. Yeah, we were talking about the high cost of model railroading. So anyway, I get a lot of emails. People ask me how to get started, and the first piece of advice is start small. Join a modular club near you. Build a module. I'm not a big fan of club layouts per se, where it's a big, huge layout that everybody works on. I feel they often, unless they're held to super high standards, they often lack personality of their own. Whereas with a module, you can put your own artistic stamp on it. You can put your own mark on it. And so modules are great, but that's a whole nother topic too. We're talking about micro and mini layouts. A mini layout is a really good way to go, especially one that you can expand upon later, like I did with the Thunder Mesa layout. You can just, you in that mini layout can be proof of concept for your bigger dream, your bigger idea, whatever it is you want to eventually achieve. And while you do it, you're going to learn all the skills that you're going to need to create that much bigger thing. So it's a really really good way to start. And if you don't know where to start with mini layouts as far as track plans are concerned, there are some on the Thunder Mesa layout. I like to draw track plans, and I particularly like to draw small and mini and micro layouts. But this is a great book by the late Ian Rice. A lot of you are probably familiar. Ian passed away last year. A wonderful track designer and illustrator. Um, I took a lot of inspiration from him when I started drawing track plans, and this is a great book to start with. This is from Calmback Publishing, the guys that bring you Model Railroader. Small, smart, and practical track plans. Ian was from the United Kingdom, where generally they have lower budgets and smaller spaces for modeling. So they have to be small, smart, and practical in order to fit in small apartments and things like that. Great book, great place to start if you're interested in building a small layout. On the topic of uh, unavailability of equipment, I get a lot of people asking me, where can I find ON30 porters? Where can I find 440s? Where can I find the equipment that I see in your videos? Unfortunately, Bachmann, the leading manufacturer of ON30 equipment, the ones that basically created the boom, they created the market, have been backing away from ON30 in recent years. And they haven't been selling as much of it. They haven't been manufacturing as much of it. They stopped making the porters. They stopped making the 440s. Every year or so they throw a bone out. They've got the World War I trench locomotive they came out with, which is really nice, by the way. A great runner. But yeah, they've kind of tapped the brakes on ON30 a little bit, and that's too bad. And I hope they get back into it. I hope they do another run of porters. I hope they do some more 440s, both inside and outside frame, because I used to tell people, hey, just go to eBay. They'll find them on eBay. The prices on eBay have gotten out of sight. You've got 440s going for $600. The plastic Bachmann model, not brass. Porters going for $350, $400. They used to be $25. My first one, I think, was $25. The first one I ever bought. Didn't have DCC or anything, but yeah, back in my day, the prices were lower on these things, But yeah, so that's not really an option if you're starting out and if you're on a budget, if you're on Social Security and stuff like that. Yeah, a better option, I think, is to substitute time and effort and modeling skill, which you'll develop, expending time and effort, kit bashing, or building your own. That's the way ON30 started. Was some guys who couldn't afford ON3 big expensive ON3 narrow gauge locomotives, but wanted to model narrow gauge, and they figured out that, hey, this is really close to 30 inches here, this HO track. We could use HO mechanisms and HO trucks and couplers and all that stuff, and just scale everything up to 148 and have be close to it'd be close to ON3, be ON30. So it'd be somewhere halfway between 24-inch and 36-inch gauge. So that's how it started, with a few talented modelers thinking outside the box and bashing locomotives from HO equipment. And we're in much better position to do that today than back when it started in the 60s or whenever. Because back then you had to build everything out of brass or styrene if you're on a budget. But now, with the availability of 3D printed shells and kits, there are some great manufacturers out there that I want to give a shout out to. Lambert Locomotive Works, great source of supplies for ON30 parts and conversion kits and all kinds of great stuff you can't find anyplace else. Cumberland Shops, the Cumberland Shops, one of my favorites. If you want to modify HO scale to ON30, you get a cheapo or mass-produced Bachmann 060. You buy a shell from the Cumberland Shops, you put them together, you get some nice paint, some nice details, and you've got yourself a really nice, good-running ON30 locomotive for less than the King's ransom that you're going to be paying for, Bachmann stuff on eBay now. So that's a really good way to go. And of course, there are links to all of that stuff over on my website, thundermesa.studio. I had to think about it for a minute. Thundermesa.studio. Go to the Model Railroads tab. Go down to the bottom. There's a little tab that says Useful Links. Click on that. Not only will you find those manufacturers, you will also find links to laser cutting supplies, design software, figures, scale lumber, all the favorite stuff that I use in my builds all the time. You'll find on there. Basically, anytime somebody asks me a question, where'd you get that? And I don't have it up there already, I'll throw it up there, and there'll be a link there to check out. One I left out was Railway Recollections. You can find a lot of their stuff on eBay. And he does ON30 and ON18 conversion kits, and I've used several things from him to model ON18 equipment, and Calico and Bandit Canyon and the other little projects I've got going on. So that's a good way to start. By the way, if you send me an email and I don't answer you right away, or sometimes ever, sorry, this stool is really uncomfortable. It's not because I don't like you. It's not because I'm shining you on or anything like that. I would really love to be able to answer every single model railroad related question that I get. And that's one of the reasons I do these live streams. And I hope the questions aren't piling up because I haven't been really looking. But I'll get to those. It's really hard for me to offer one-on-one advice, but I try as much as I can. So if I missed you, I apologize. That said, let's look back through some of the comments here and see what's going on here. One of my favorite things about doing these, and this was something unexpected. When I first started doing these live streams, I didn't know if anybody would show up. And, I thought it'd be me and, Jim, who is our moderator and a friend, But a lot of you guys show up and you come back every time, and that's really great. And it's created kind of a community here, and I'm really proud of that. I think that's really nice that we can all get together and talk about trains. This is like hanging out at the old hobby shop back in the day. Go in and buy a magazine, talk to the guys behind the counter for an hour. I miss those days. Anyway, I'm just going to, let's see. Timber Creek Steam Company. Good name. Hi, Dave. John T. here, Timber Creek Steam Company. Thinking of N-scale Percy Bash for chassis of ON18. I have not done one of those, but there's a lot of information online. Check out the ON18 009 group. 09? 09 group. Oh, no, on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, for some thoughts on that, or just do a Google search for Percy Bash. It's a popular chassis to use. Those goofy faces pop right off, so you can do some neat stuff on them. I have 119 people watching right now. Wow. Thank you all for spending your Wednesday evening with me. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'm going to back up a little here, see what I missed. Any questions? Let's see. FJ's for fun. The hobby is in the process of becoming anachronistic, and unfortunately, narrow gauge has always been a very small part of it. Yeah, narrow gauge has always been a small niche in model railroading. Is the hobby becoming anachronistic, though? I talked about this in the last stream. Anachronistic, something from the past that doesn't fit in the current world that we live in. Everyone says, oh, the kids, they just want to play video games and they just want to do, why would you do all this? Why would you build all this when there's VR? Because we're apes with thumbs. That's why. And we enjoy making things. So I think there will always be people making things in real life and not just, and I don't know if it'll be trains. The maker movement, there a lot of people are doing a lot of nice, really cool diorama stuff, which is another option, by the way, if you can't afford a layout or don't have space. Just build a diorama and load it with all the details. So I think that all people will always be making stuff. At least I hope so. And when I'm not around anymore, I won't care. DK Austin 98. We are becoming more of the scratch building scale. Yeah, kit bashing, scratch building. That's always been a big part of ON30 narrow gauge. It's always been a big part of narrow gauge of any kind. You think we got problems? Try HON3. They had a big manufacturer came out. Everybody got excited. They had some really nice looking, nice running locomotives that were quasi reasonable in price. And then they stopped. So, now you can't get anything. And Roundhouse isn't making those consolidation kits anymore. They don't even exist. Let's see. Ryan Gallagher, this is the closest thing to a model railroad club that I get. Me too. Well, there's this, and then I have my group of mini layout friends that we get together every year. Gary Beatty and Bob Turner and Bob Turner. Sorry, Bob. Bob Kerner and Sam Toller and a few other folks, Jake, and we get together. That's kind of like we resist a club, though. We joked about this. We're not getting vests with patches or jackets or polo shirts with logos or anything like that. That's never going to happen. Stickers is about as far as we'll go. Oh, speaking of unanswered questions, Capus, Ecapus, Ecapus, Ecapus. I hope I'm not butchering that too badly. Shot you an email about a Thunder Mesa IPD boxcar. Any chance of decals? IPD? Remind me what IPD stands for. It's probably something really obvious, so I'm just blanking on it. I don't create decals. I create decal artwork, which I have made available in the past to download on the website. There's Thunder Mesa decals, and there's the Lightem and Hyde, and there's Freeholine decals that are available. I would, if I want to make them, then there's a good chance they'll end up on the website. Jim Manley says, there is a huge skill set source that attends these live streams. I learn a lot from the comments as well as from Dave. That's true. We got some great people that come in, Jason Jensen and, many other people, Chris Lambert, Bob Turner. Yeah, Kathleen Turner's boy. Hi, Bob. It's late. It's past my bedtime, Bob. I'm sorry. I apologize. Kerner. I just have to remember to say it with his German accent. Robert Kerner. Show us Castle Rock. I don't have a Castle Rock. I have Baxter's Butte, which is right there. You want to see it? I mean, it's right there. Here, I'll turn the camera slightly so you can see it. There it is. Ta-da! Steve MD77 has a good point here. Look at the locomotives. You're talking about commercially available stuff, and how much detail are in them now. And when we were kids, we were just excited that it ran and had a working headlight. That's true. Now you've got, synchronized sound, digital command control, and of course all of the fine tooling and detail that goes into these. And it's a real balancing act to be able to manufacture something like that at a cost, at a price point that people can, people like you and me can afford to pay. So yeah, the equipment is much better now, and the prices have gone up accordingly. The thing is nobody's getting rich in the model railroad business. Nobody in the kit business is getting rich. As was pointed out earlier, it's a niche market, and narrow gauge is an even smaller niche in there. So, that's why I like to give shout outs to these guys. Kevin Macomber at Narrow Gauge Modeling Company, great source of supplies. Guys like that who, all they sell is narrow gauge stuff. But nobody's getting rich doing this, selling kits and parts, and they do it because they're passionate about it. They love it. Let's see. Mick last name. Is that Irish? You're building an ON18 loco using a Shapeways Shay, yes, with a Cato 11109 power truck, yes. You retrofitted a Porter with 2-function decoder. How to use a resistor on the motor power is 11109, only takes 3 volts. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I only run DC, the straight, good old, the pure stuff. Pure DC direct current on my ON18 stuff. Mostly because I don't want to mess with trying to jam the electronics into those tiny little things. The N-scale guys, my hat's off to you. Hello, Captain. Welcome aboard. Artwork for a 70s era Thunder Mesa 50-foot boxcar would do the trick. See, now that's something I never think about. What would the Thunder Mesa line be like in the 70s? That's a modern take. Back when, modern as in when they still ran boxcars regularly in the 70s. Instead of containers. Things that make you go, that would be an interesting thought experiment to try and, as a graphic artist, to try and project into the future how the branding of the railroad would evolve over time, even if it lasted into the 70s. The latest I'm on record is saying that the Thunder Mesa Railroad survived is 1953. And the reason for that is because in 1953 it was visited by Walt Disney and Roger Broggie and Ward Kimball, and that's where they got all their ideas from here. But the 70s, I'll have to decide if it had gone into the 70s. I could come up with a really funky, 70s kind of logo, maybe like a flying Thunder Mesa. That'd be fun. Fun idea. Battery power for portable mini layouts. That's not something really I've thought of because there's almost always a plug wherever I'm going to go. But you could. There are 12-volt power sources available, 12, 16-volt power sources available that are portable that you can recharge. And I'm not just talking like car batteries. There are things that are used to charge car batteries that you can get. Something like that. Yeah. I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently on the topic, unfortunately, because I haven't really looked into it. But that's an interesting idea. I could do something like that with Bandit Canyon. I could have down in the base have a power unit that everything plugged, so it'd be totally self-contained and could be set up anywhere. That's an intriguing suggestion. I like that. Oh. There are all sorts of cool and crazy paint schemes on those IPD. Yeah, those IPD cars. I would have to, I would have to go deep dive down the rabbit hole, Google image search, and pull up a lot of reference material and see, those wild paint schemes from that era. That would be fun. All right, let's see. A lot of outdoor G-scalers do battery power. Yeah, that's onboard battery power. I think George was talking about battery power for an entire mini layout, not on board, not in the locomotive or the tender, but something you plug everything into. And that's a real possibility. Let's see. Oh, I've seen this comment on the video too. Ravenson Express. Behind you, I see the spot where something very important is missing. The door into the corral needs a skull of a longhorn cattle on the top beam. I hate to argue with you, but it doesn't. And I'll tell you why. And I've worked on ranches, and I've been into a lot of ranches out here in Arizona and Colorado. It's a horse corral. Yeah, you could put a longhorn steer skull up there, but it's not a cow pen. And usually those skulls would be put on the ranch gate, the gate into the ranch, or antlers or whatever, which I do have. The ranch gate to where is it? Circle D Ranch has antlers on it, elk antlers. You usually wouldn't see that on a horse corral. Well, you might, but it's not. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a glaring omission. uh, let's see. Al Judy has made some very nice dioramas in the past couple of months. Yes, he has. Al Judy runs the ON30 group on Facebook, which is a wonderful bastion of creativity and knowledge. If you want to head over there and check that out, but not while you're watching this. Raymond Spencer. I know a Raymond Spencer. How's your arm, Raymond? It's nice to see you here tonight. If you are the Raymond Spencer, I think you are. Oh, yeah, you had shoulder surgery, and my dominant arm has been healing slowly. You're keeping it minimal. Ray, are you going to come out to Gary's in May? It would be really lovely to see you. and yeah, you're up in arms. How many times have you used that dad joke? It'd be lovely to see you. If you could make it out down to Gary's like you did last year, and we could sit around and swap stories, it would be wonderful. It'd be wonderful to see you. Who else is here tonight? Did I miss any questions? If I did, throw them at me again, and I'll try and answer them. EI Turkey 1. I only come here to steal ideas. I give them away for free. You don't have to steal them. You know the old quote, right? What was it, Picasso? Yeah. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. Never be afraid to steal a great idea. Let's see. The Rockaways. I dream of creating a model railroad where the trains move more like a roller coaster with elevation changes, sharp curves, bank turns, not more than like prototype trains. Ever see anything like that? There is a guy who has built a working model of the Big Thunder Mountain in Paris. I've seen videos of it online, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It's beautiful. He did a great job. Um, Steep inclines, fast trains, bank turns, curves, sharp curves. It's just like Big Thunder, and he did a great job. Yeah. If anyone can, I'm blanking on the guy's name and where you can find it. I saw it on Instagram, I think. Check it out. There's one model. Yeah, that's the one I know of. There are also kits available to build roller coasters. I had one that I never put together and ended up selling it for a big wooden roller coaster that actually worked. Here's the problem with that. Gravity doesn't scale. Elemental things like fire, gravity, water, don't scale very well. So what happens? You'll notice this if you've ever raced slot cars. They go like 800 miles an hour at scale. They're not going scale speeds. And so with roller coasters, you've got a lift hill up. Okay, you're fine until you get to the top, and then it goes down, and it's so fast because it's moving with the same physics as a full size roller coaster. So yeah, that's the complicated part of it. The guy who did the Big Thunder thing, though, he did a great job. It looks fantastic. Look for it on YouTube. Yeah, if anyone can find a link, that would be great. Chris Lambert, are you going to pour water around the riverboat? No. I'm going to pour water under the riverboat. The riverboat has a flat bottom. It's a waterline model. So here's how I'm going to do it. I've had a lot of time to think about it. Thanks for asking. The riverboat, the Canyon Queen, over by Thunder Mesa Town. I finished it last year. It was a great project. Evergreen Hill. Is it Evergreen? Kitwood. Sorry, Kitwood Hill models. Simon Cox. I apologize. Kitwood Hill models. Look them up. Speaking of a great supplier of ON30 stuff, turntables, roundhouses, riverboats, structures, stuff you can't get anyplace else. Fantastic kits. Anyway, built one of his kits, and there's a river scene over there. And yes, this year, sometime this year, probably later this year, after I get all the other stuff done that I'm working on, I'm going to finish the river scene, and I will be pouring water in there. Hey, welcome to the excursion special. Yes, nice to see you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'll do an Envirotex epoxy pour, and that's dead flat when it cures. And so then you put the riverboat on top of that. And I have a plan for bringing power up through the resin. And then on top of the resin, we'll put some ripples and stuff like that and waves using different techniques, Mod Podge mostly, around the riverboat once it's in place. So yes, there's a plan. It's going to happen this year for sure. Um, oh, that link is in the Thunder Mountain at On Tracks 2022. Okay. Paul, have you seen the FN3 micro layer that Carter has done? No, I have not seen it. I've seen pictures. I haven't seen it in person. I haven't been to Carter's house, but I would. One of these days, I'm gonna arrive unexpectedly. I would love to see it. Ryan Gallagher, my cow skulls are pretty much just. There's a little side conversation going on now about cow skulls. I love it. Strewn everywhere about the ranch. I do have one hung on a cottonwood tree. Sure, cows die, so you end up with cow skulls. And longhorn skulls are cool because they have long horns. Um, yeah, but it's become kind of a kitschy bit of ranch decor, so everybody's got them. You can buy them from a guy on the street corner. Raymond Spencer. By the way, no ideas are original. They are just reorganized and repackaged like a good comedian does with real life. You know, that's uh, that's so true, actually. Um, there's nothing new under the sun. I had an art teacher tell me that in college. You know, he said, paraphrasing, don't try to be original. Just try to be good. And over time originality will follow. Just try to be good at your craft. Just learn the craft. And you learn the craft by not being original. You learn it by copying other people's work. Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with that. Yeah. Let's see. Hello, Jason. Is Jason here? Jason Jensen. Hey, Jason. All the luminaries are here. You're all luminaries in my book, by the way. All of you. It's so nice to see you. I'm so glad you come to my live stream. That's very flattering that Jason comes to my live stream. I do appreciate it. And by the way, once you're done, if you have not subscribed to Thunder Mesa Studio, or if you have not already subscribed to Jason Jensen Trains, you should go over there and subscribe to his channel as well, because he's got great content and he's making kits now. Godspeed. How's that going, Jason? How's the kit business? Running you ragged, I bet. Let's see. Jason knows this is a fun place to hang out. This is true. It is a fun place. I love hanging out with you guys. I really look forward to these live streams. I love doing the projects and the edited videos, because I really enjoy putting all that together and thinking it through and seeing how it's all going to come out. Like this one. I can't wait for you to see the one on the Calico mine cars. And I got more surprises in store. But that's fun. That's like wrapping a Christmas present, and here you go, and giving that out. These live streams are great because it's just really informal, and we can just chat and hang out and talk about whatever comes to mind. Jason Jensen Trains, you are a true artist. Love your modeling. Who are you talking to? Jim, I was watching Jason's latest video, waiting for this one to start. I watch Jason's videos too when I have the time. Unfortunately, that's just why I'm impressed that Jason is here, because, he's pretty much on the project a week cycle like I am, and so it's really hard to find the time to sit down and watch the work of other creators that you enjoy. It's tough to find that time. That's why I'm flattered. It's that you made the time to come and hang out. That's really nice. What should I name my 1/48 scale Higgins boat? I would name it Higgins. I don't know. Something that's meaningful to you. Um, Ron Paludan? I'm terrible with last names. I apologize. Maybe unpopular view here, but I love making VR model railroads. Low cost, zero space issues, and huge variety. I can play color, and they run great too, right? You never have derailments like I had here earlier. Um, yeah, you can run play Colorado Air Gauge one day, Appalachian Coal Hall the next, from the 1830s to 2023. Absolutely, nothing against that. You know, VR has come a long way. The video graphics are amazing. Yeah, you know, there's a lot to be said for that. But it does not give you the same satisfaction, in my opinion, as making something with your hands. That's my opinion. But yeah, no one's no one's saying anyone can't enjoy that stuff. You know, please, you'll learn a lot playing those games and doing VR railroads about how real railroads actually operate, um, which sometimes is overlooked in this hobby. In our zest, in our excitement to run trains, we kind of forget what they're for. You know, they're for moving people and stuff from one place to another, uh, economically. Uh, A Higgins boat should be named something from Magnum PI. If you had two of them, you could call them Zeus and Apollo. There's a deep cut. Equestrian Iron Horse fan. Howdy day. Howdy, Equestrian Iron Horse fan. Is that your real name? Daniel Banks. I've used a virtual model to test track plan and what I intended to build. Found some critical flaws that way without laying track to find out. Yeah, that's a real time and money saver. That's for sure. Yeah, 3D Planet. Is that the software you're talking about? That's a good one for that. Yeah, absolutely. Chris Lambert, model trains are a lot cheaper than RC model planes. Yeah, whenever I see those, and you know, I say this sometimes like, oh, that would be fun. I would love to like build like a World War II biplane, you know, a Jenny or Sopwith Camel or something like that. Fly it, and then I see the videos, and the thing they've spent months building and hundreds and hundreds of dollars putting together, and it crashes. Imagine taking your $400 locomotive. Oh, didn't nail the landing. Yeah, that is expensive. Is it cold in Jerome tonight? Jason asks, is it cold in Jerome tonight? Not as cold as it has been. There's still snow on the ground. We got about 6 inches, depending on what part of the mountain you're on here in Jerome, in the last couple days. But it's melting off fast. That's what happens in Arizona. We get, I'm going to do an old tour guide joke. Back when I used to do Jeep tours. Out here we get what we call Apache snow, because there's a patch over here and a patch over there. It's like Jungle Cruise. So yeah, it's melting off fast. There's still ice in the parking lot and stuff. It's freezing. It freezes every night. The thing is that it's really rough on dirt roads and stuff, which we have a lot of around here, because it freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws. So you get, by midday it's 50 degrees out and there's mud everywhere, and then all the mud freezes and it's a mess. Let's see. Plane stories are fun. Yes, the guys on the Flight Test YouTube channel fly foam airplanes for that reason. Cheap and disposable. Good point. Yeah, they're not, you know, museum works of art. Daniel Banks, my town art museum had a planes, trains, and automobiles exhibit over the holidays. Model planes, cars, and trains. Opening night was fun as we were all there. Got a chance to talk about our hobbies. That's great. I love that kind of cross pollination. Pollination is not a word. Pollination, cross pollination between different disciplines, different arts, different hobbies. You know, because um, we tend to get a little insulated or insular in our hobbies. I know people that won't buy a bottle of paint unless it's got a picture of a train on it. So it's great to get together and swap stories and ideas and techniques with people. I've learned a lot from armor modelers, military modelers, who are doing some phenomenal work, especially with painting and weathering. Just fantastic realism. If you want to see the cutting edge of realism, look at that stuff. The figure painting from tabletop gamers, people who are big into tabletop gaming, do an amazing job with figure painting. So, you know, don't be afraid to check out what the people, electronics, radio control did not start in model trains. It came from cars and planes, and then finally made its way to model planes. So, you know, don't be afraid to cross pollinate, pollinate, cross pollinate with other hobbies. Yes. Oh, let's see. Thank you, Bill. Donald River is here. Hi, Donald. You made it. Mark Vick, love your channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Here we go. Here's a good question. Cardstock modeling for model railroaders asks the member. Thank you very much for being a member. Top 5 elements, features for a micro or mini layout. Whew, top 5. My top 5? Or top 5 in general? I can give you my top 5. I can't give you your top 5. Number 1 would be a simple track plan. Keep it simple. The KISS principle really applies on a small micro mini layout, especially if it's going to be portable. A caboose chaser, a loop, wedding cake layout where you've got 2 layers, but they're both independent of each other. I see a lot of people get into it and they try to do put steep grades and stuff like that, and it's just not going to work in a small amount of space. You cannot have ON30 trains cross over themselves in a figure 8 in 3 by 6 feet. It's just too steep of a grade. It just wouldn't work. So you got to keep the track plan simple. So I would say tracks all on the level, grade, minimize grades as much as possible. I don't know how many is this now. And then vertical separation in scenery. I think that's important unless you're modeling Florida or Kansas or someplace that's flat as a pool table. Most of the earth is not flat, and when you design a railroad in 2D looking down to be on a piece of plywood, it tends to flatten everything out. So think in terms of really good modelers that I see often draw plans. Gary Beatty's a great example. He'll do like an elevation plan, not just a looking down from the top. He'll do a side view or a 3/4 view to show the vertical separation in the layout. So that's a really important thing. Stuff above the track and stuff below the track. Lots of interesting things like that. High amount of detail would be another thing. That's pretty much my rule all the time. But lots of informed detail, things that make sense in the scene. Yeah, you can really pack it into a small layout. Lightweight. Keep it light because you're going to be moving it. Foam, things like that. Not a lot of heavy bench work. So yeah, lightweight for portability. And then way down the list would be the possibility of expansion. I'm not sure if I've got to 5 yet. Is that 4 or 5? The possibility of expansion, either with a track going off that could connect to something else maybe down the line, or you could take one end of the turnback loop off, like I did with Thunder Mesa, and expand it out that way. Um, you know, you have leave it open for the world to get bigger, is because you're going to want to, and it's better, I think. I don't know, maybe it's not. Depends on how happy you are with your micro and mini layout. To expand on what you've already done than to start over again from scratch. It's certainly more economical to expand on what you've already done than to start over again from scratch. Oh, just time for a couple more questions, and I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I'm going to subscribe to your channel, Cardstock Modeling for Model Railroads. That was a great question. Very thoughtful. Thank you. Tim Clock, is this year's mini, I get this question a lot, is a mini layout meeting at Gary Beatty's open to the public? How can we find that information about where and when is it? Well, it's open to people who communicate with Gary Beatty. I'm afraid of it getting too big. He doesn't seem to be afraid of it getting too big. So you can contact him if you're on Facebook or here on YouTube. He has a channel, Puerto Borracho Railway. Subscribe, like and subscribe, the Puerto Borracho Railway. Check it out. He doesn't have a lot of content, but he does put new videos up. It is a beautifully done layout. Check it out. You can probably contact him through here and on YouTube or over on Facebook on his Puerto Borracho Railroad page or the ON30 Railroad group where he posts very often. And he'll say probably, if you're not an axe murderer, he'll say, hey, yeah, come on, it'll be fun. Yeah, and he'll give you directions to the place. So it's quasi-public. I'm of the opinion that after this year, it's. I know Gary loves having it in his house because he doesn't have to go anywhere. But he's a great host. He and his wife both are wonderful hosts. But I feel like it's going to grow. It's getting very, very popular. It's going to get big, and it's going to need a larger venue in the future. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Yes, very back on topic. Thank you. Jeffrey Hampson. Yeah, one good thing you think is good, reliable equipment. Yeah. That's true of any model railroad. I think it's I used to always say it ain't no fun if the trains don't run. Yeah, reliable equipment is a big plus. Smallest radius track used. That depends on the equipment that you want to run. ON30 porters will navigate a 10-inch radius. Or I've heard even down to a 6-inch radius. The problem becomes not so much will the locomotive and cars navigate it, but you got to think about coupler swing. How far is the butt of the car? How far are they sticking? Because that's what causes derailments on really tight curves. Is the coupler swing will force the car behind it off the track. So the answer to that question, unfortunately, is it depends. Obviously, in the smaller scales, smaller radius. I'm doing ON18 on the Bandit Canyon, and the minimum radius is 9 inches. Or is it 8? I can't remember now. See, that's why I do the video, so I can go back and look and see what it was. Oh, okay. Raging Dolphins Maniac says, I just push them around the track making choo-choo noises when they don't run. That's what I do too. When there's nobody here and late at night, you'll find me here. I have a whistle, a train whistle. I don't have to actually make choo-choo noises. I have a whistle to do it. Human City Junction. Where should I? This is going to be the last question for tonight because I got to roll, guys. But thank you so much. Where should I start when designing a layout benchwork? Benchwork, track, structures, scenery, story, other. Um, well, you know what my answer is going to be. Story. What story do you want to tell? Is it something from your childhood, something you feel nostalgic about, something from the imagined future, or something from a time period you're particularly fascinated with for whatever reason? The story is what will inform everything else that you do. Well, the bench work obviously is lumber, but that's carpentry. But as far as what the layout will look like and how it will operate and what it's for and the direction you're going to want to go in is going to be informed by the story that you want to tell, whether that story is real, as in a prototype layout, or imagined, as in a freelance layout. And those are both equally valid. Um, the story, by the way, doesn't have to be a book. You don't have to write paragraphs. You don't have to come up with elaborate, like I do, like elaborate stories about the characters and the buildings and the people and all that. You don't have to do all that. You just have to answer a few questions. Um, where, when, and why? Where is the layout located? These are the three most important questions. There's more questions like, how and who, but where, when, and why are the three main story questions to answer before you start planning a model railroad. That's your idea. That's your seed of an idea. Where is it located on Earth or wherever on the moon? When is it located? Because that'll tell you what kind of equipment that's going to run. Is it steam? Is it diesel? Is it transition? Is it electric? Is it interurban? Whatever. And why? Why is the railroad there? What is its function? What does it do? How does it make a living? What does it move? Railroads move people and stuff from one place to another. Why? What stuff does it move? What people does it move? So answer those three questions before you start anything else, and you're good to go. Micro, mini layout, or basement size empire. I want to thank you all for tuning into the live stream tonight. I appreciate it so much, more than you know. It's wonderful to spend time with all of you and chat and it's always thought provoking. Somebody, I get stumped every time. Somebody asks me a question, I'll be like, I hadn't thought about that before, like a 1970s version of a Thunder Mesa boxcar. Things to think about. Thank you all so much. Keep moving forward. The next live stream, unless, the heavens open up, or as John Wayne used to say, God willing and the creek don't rise. The next live stream will be the third Wednesday in February. Hope to see you all then. Keep moving forward, my friends, and adios for now.